We start off, though, with what happened yesterday as they were wrapping up the meetings down in Miramar Beach. And they kicked the can down the road. There's no other way to describe this, but I'm okay with it, Brown and LT. I'm okay with what they did. If we could not come up with the 9-game model, if we couldn't pass that, I had zero desire of having a permanent 8-game schedule where we lost Georgia, Auburn on the reg every year, where we lost Alabama, Tennessee every year. I want the 9-game schedule. I want that to be the permanent thing. What we got yesterday was a temporary one-off schedule for 2024 where Greg Sankey says we're going to try to make it a balanced schedule, no divisions, and we're going to try to protect all the important rivalries, which means to me in 2024 we will have a one-year schedule with no worries about 2025 or 2023. We're just going to build a one-off schedule, and we're going to work for the next few months on coming up with a permanent thing to start in 2025, which I still believe will be the old 3-6 model, the 9-game schedule. 3 permanents, 6 rotators where we can play everybody every other year. That's where we'll get to. We just couldn't get there yet. So this 2024 schedule will have Auburn, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, Alabama, Tennessee. Looks like it's going to have Texas, Texas A&M, and all the important rivals, and they're going to balance it out. And guess what? They'll be able to have a more balanced schedule because of what? We won't have divisions.
Yeah, no divisions, but I've got a theory here. I think Nick Saban swung a heavy stick on this thing. And, you know, the more you hear people that were there internally, Nick Saban was on the fence about, hey, look, I don't think we've got a level playing field if our 3 permanent partners are LSU, Tennessee, and Auburn.
I bet you anything when he gets 3 permanent partners, it's those 3 teams, though.
Yeah. Well, I think he was going to wait and see. It's one of those things. If Nick Saban's all in, let's go on and do this. Let's go on and do this. I think there's a better chance it gets done. Yeah. With Nick Saban saying, "Hey, why don't we wait and say?" But we got a 12-team playoff coming up. Let's see how it affects 2 and 3 lost teams.
I can 100% tell you why LSU's on that group, though, and this is not changing. LSU is in that group because ESPN wants LSU in that group. Yeah, they want LSU, Alabama every year.
Am I wrong, Brownie, if I said in the last 15 years of SEC football that there is no series that has been higher rated than Alabama, LSU, even the Iron Bowl?
I would say the only regular season game in America that has exceeded those ratings would be Ohio State, Michigan.
That would be Ohio
State, Michigan.
And there's times where it hasn't. Yeah. I would just say if you went year-to-year average, Ohio State, Michigan is probably the only one on average that has been in front of Alabama, LSU.
If you pair up any team that has played each other every year the last 15 years and ranked the television rankings, I still think LSU, Alabama may be number 1, slightly ahead of Ohio State, Michigan.
Could be. I don't know.
That is 1 and 2 more than
the Iron Bowl. Now, the Iron Bowl's had some very big highs.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. But I still think Texas and Oklahoma might be in front of the Iron Bowl.
It may be, but those 2 teams haven't been as high at the same time.
Yeah. They haven't been in a playoff contention. It's earlier in the year. It's 11 a.m., which we know can get good ratings because that's where Michigan and Ohio State's played. But that is sort of a carve-out game. I agree with you. That's a good rating game, but I don't think it makes the top 5.
Oh,
regular
Texas,
season?
Oklahoma?
Yeah. I'll have to go back and it's going to take a lot for me to go back and do the math on this. But
I mean, what else in the SEC would top it? I don't think Florida Georgia does.
No, Iron Bowl has traditionally topped Texas, Oklahoma. You'll always have, at the end of the year, you always have a big Notre Dame game in there, whoever their biggest game is.
Notre Dame USC is a big game.
Yeah, I mean.
But see, it's not on the reg, though. It's not every year, so you have to kick that out.
Yeah.
Like some Notre Dame Clemson's would have popped in there, but it's not every year.
Yeah, but Notre Dame USC is.
But Notre Dame USC may be, but.
I don't know. I don't know
where they've been.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in there every year. But, I mean, if you only consider games that are absolutely played every single year, it would be Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, LSU, the Iron Bowl, probably Notre Dame, USC.
I mean,
maybe Texas, Oklahoma.
I think you throw Ohio State, Penn State into the conversation.
I think Brown's got the 5 right there.
Yeah, that might be the 5 right there. I'm trying to think of another obvious one. And this is regular season only, obviously. Once you get to the SEC championship, Big Ten championship, it's up another level. But I think those are probably your 5. And again, that's why Alabama's always going to keep LSU. ESPN doesn't pay this kind of money to not have some sort of influence over the schedule.
That's right.
I mean, that's crazy to think that.
It would be like Major League Baseball saying, all right, you know what we're not going to do? This year we're not going to play the Yankees and the Red Sox.
That's right. Who wants to see that?
Nobody. We're not going to do it. We don't know what Buster's going to do on Sunday night, but it ain't going to be the Yankees and the Red Sox.
And the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room out over there, 4 great locations, by the way. Landmine Believer, Army, Navy, because it's standalone.
Yeah, it doesn't do as well as you would think.
I've really never looked at the numbers.
Yeah, doesn't do as well as you would think. I mean,
certain people
does okay, but
certain people have weddings on that day.
They do. The season's over, and I mean, for a lot of people, the Army Navy game is a great story, but it's not particularly good football. I mean, I'm in that group. I love what they do for our nation. I like the pageantry around it.
I think we can not like the Army-Navy actual football contest and still support our military.
No, I agree.
I appreciate what you guys do.
Fitzy disagrees.
I know, but
I appreciate what you guys can do off the field. On the field,
Hey, do you think that if there will ever be a time of the 12-team playoff that Army and Navy will be a play-in game for a playoff spot?
No, I do not, Lance.
See, I'm going to get in here with Bobby right here. And Bobby and I would say we agree. What would you guys say? 11%? 11% of the time?
Okay, that seems like a good percentage.
That may be high.
Not keeping score here.
Well, we don't agree a lot. But I 100% agree with Bobby here. I don't think it had anything to do with Nick Saban's opinion. I don't think it carried a lot of weight in what was going on. Maybe it did in the media perception, but in the actual decision-making process, I don't think what Nick Saban believes, his opinion on LSU, Tennessee, Auburn, 8 or 9, whether we should unionize or not, I don't think it had an impact at all. I think the fact of it is that you have a lot of teams, a lot of programs who are fearful of what we should do, what Mark Stoops will do if I'm not a bowl team, if I got to play an extra game. What do I do if I'm at Ole Miss or Mississippi State or Missouri or South Carolina? You know, if I'm all of a sudden I'm 5-7 because I'm getting an extra loss handed to me. I would tell you this. I also think the SEC is holding out for more money until they get this. Now, Greg Sankey's quote is this right here, that money follows, it doesn't lead. That's his quote. Money follows, it doesn't lead. But the reason most people said they did not go to a permanent 9-game schedule was competitive balance, which would be on the Nick Saban side if you think that's what he was saying, and ad revenue, the additional revenue, adding revenue. I
think Greg Sankey, he's a very intelligent guy. I think he read that somewhere because money does lead. There is a reason you're going to a 12-team playoff. It's not for the betterment of the game.
But I think what he's saying is we decide on going to a 12-team playoff, and then they will pay us. You know,
if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, very much.
I get that, but at the same time, the only reason you build it is because you know they will come.
But we make the decision.
It works both ways.
We make the decision knowing that people are going to pay us for our decision. It's not. I'm not saying he's not saying, and I'm not saying.
Yeah,
that
but you
it's
don't
not
make the
about
decision
money.
unless you know you're going to get paid.
That is true, but you've got to make the decision first. I think his point is we have to make the decision to be a 9-game conference schedule, and then the money will follow.
But I don't think
this is chicken and egg stuff. But I get it.
But I think Nick Saban's influence was the fact that Nick Saban was once a 9-game proponent, became an 8-game proponent. I do think he influenced the vote that way, as he was an important swing vote. I'm not saying he changed anybody's opinion in the room, but I am saying this was a staunch 9-game guy for a very long time.
When did he ever say he was an 8-game guy? He never did. He's not an 8-game guy.
No, he said he's undecided now.
He's undecided, but I mean, I've got it. But that's not a 9-game guy anymore if he's undecided. Yeah. So
but he's not an 8-game guy. He's undecided.
But that's the way you end up with 8 games. Is he's no longer he was not in there pounding the table for 9 games. If he's undecided.
Yeah, and it's according to Chris Lowe, and Chris Lowe knows.
Chris is tight with Nick
Chris,
Saban.
On the last couple of weeks. The quote is also Alabama wasn't ready to sign off on having to play Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee as its 3 permanent foes in a 9-game schedule.
So there you go. He's an 8-game guy.
As of right now.
Well, he is, Jim. If you didn't go in there and vote for 9 games, you're keeping it the way it is. You're an 8-game guy. I mean, I don't know. That's not an insult to Nick Saban like you're trying to make it be.
Well, I'm not trying to make it be an insult.
You got your dander up.
I was just saying, you can be not for something, and then that doesn't mean you're for something else.
I would guarantee if they went in and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I know you don't think this is fair. We're going to remove Tennessee. I know it's a rivalry, but we're going to add Vanderbilt as one of your 3 permanents. And you've got LSU, Auburn, and Vanderbilt. I think he would have said, I'm in for that. I mean, because I don't know how you go from being pro 9 to saying it's a competitive imbalance.
I just think people are smart enough. Maybe all of us as fans are not.
No,
but surely people in the game is smart enough to realize that without divisions and with a rotating schedule, we're going to have a more balanced schedule than we've ever had before. But every year it's not going to be a balanced schedule for anybody, because in college athletics, just like in the NFL, it swings so much that you end up with all of a sudden Auburn's got Cam Newton. You can't project that the best single season ever by a quarterback is going to show up on the schedule in a one-off.
Well, to your point, in 2012, everybody in the SEC would have lined up to play Auburn. Every single team. I'll play them at Jordan-Hare. I'll play them wherever you want me to play them. I'll play Auburn in 2012. Just 1 year later, they beat everybody in the league except LSU.
That's right. But going in, you
just don't know. Right.
Going into 2010 or into 2013, you sat there and yourself, and Auburn wasn't, wasn't really impacting your strength of schedule too much. But when you got to it that season, all of a sudden you were like, well, damn, that game's tough.
Yeah.
Can't win that one. So that's college athletics. It's always going to be that way. And I think even at Alabama or wherever, Auburn, who's going to be saddled with Georgia and Alabama at their peaks right now, there's going to be ebbs and flows. But when you're playing everybody every other year, I've said this all through this whole debate, when you're playing everybody every other year, it's not that big a deal. Whoever your permanents are, that means, okay, so you don't have Vandy in your permanent. Well, guess what? You're going to have them every other year in the other 6 games. You're not just playing those 3 games. You're playing 6 other games. So Vandy's going to be there, right? Missouri's going to be there in those other 6 games. And you're going to play them every other year. So it doesn't matter if they're your permanent, because if Vandy's your permanent, well, then LSU is going to be there every other year. And so is Texas and Oklahoma and Georgia.
No, I get that, but you don't want to play LSU on the road every year.
Well, it's not on the road every year.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying you kind of want to get a break from playing 3 what could possibly be top 10 teams every single year.
Listen, all due respect to Brian Kelly, they ain't Georgia. The only team that you should be worried about being your permanent is Georgia.
Okay.
Right? Georgia's got a 47-year-old coach in a recruiting hotbed.
I get it.
That ain't going anywhere. And he's going to be that good for the next 13 years. And he may not win it every year in the SEC, but they're going to be darn good every year for the next 13
Brian
years.
Kelly will win one before Kirby Smart won one, year-wise.
So what was the year Kirby Smart won his first?
Kirby,
year 5?
I think it was year 5.
Kirby was a miracle away from winning it in year 3.
In year 2.
In year 2.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just saying he didn't win one until year 5.
Brian Kelly needs to be 2nd and 26 in overtime and choke one out before.
But that's
before he's on Kirby's plane.
You're 6 for Kirby, so I mean, Lance could be able to.
He'll win one in the next 5 years.
I agree with Lance. I think
we'll see. We'll see.
So I'm just saying, right now, Georgia is the alpha.
That's right.
Alabama's still number 2, but LSU is right there.
If Georgia is not one of your permanents, then why are you bitching, right?
Because when you look at Alabama's 3, it is the most difficult 3.
But there are 6 other games
that
decide your strength of schedule.
Hey, I don't care. I'm just saying that Nick Saban apparently cares.
But if you give me Vandy, Mississippi State, and Missouri as my permanents, first of all, I'd be bored to tears.
There's not an Alabama fan out there that wants that.
But then those other 6 are going to be balls to the wall every other year.
I agree because you're getting the easy ones for your permanents. So all your non-permanents could be hard games.
Yeah, and you play them every other year.
Yeah.
So what Kirby said going into the meetings, I don't know what we're debating. You're going to play. It's the SEC. There are good teams everywhere.
Yeah.
And guess what? There are going to be some that are going to sneak up. All of a sudden, you're going to have Will Rogers or whomever, the late, great Mike Leach would have thrown out at quarterback. He's going to pass for 1,000 yards on you in an opening day in Baton Rouge. You're going to be like, well, crap, we didn't see that coming.
And by the way, I said this yesterday. I agree with Kirby. I think this is the most overrated debate out there right now. The only thing I am saying is after seeing some of the quotes from some of the insiders today, Nick Saban wasn't on board. I think that did play a factor.
But
I
if
think money
yeah.
plays a bigger factor because you're not locked into what you're going to get with a 9-game schedule.
But if I'm Auburn, I'm like, I don't want to hear your belly aching. I get Alabama and Georgia every year, and unless the conference changes something, I got to play them on the road the same year.
Oh, that will change.
I mean, I think it will too, which
change.
is why I included unless the conference changes something. I mean, I don't know if they've gotten any guarantees yet.
That will change. But what we're going to lock into in 2025, I truly believe this, is a permanent setup that will go on forever and ever.
Amen.
And so you're gonna set into this permanent rotation, and then 15 years from now, when Tyler's sitting in my chair running the show, we're going to be sitting here going, man, I cannot believe that. Oh my goodness, I've got to play Missouri and Mississippi State in the same year. They're both really good, and they're my permanent rivals. You don't know what the. I know.
It's bad choices.
Joke, but you don't know who's going to be good in 15
I
years.
see what you're saying. Hey, thanks for watching our video. We really appreciate it. Would you do a couple more things for us, please? Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and you set your alerts so you know when we're live, and always give us that thumbs up.